But I decided to go to seminary, and it was not until I was really finishing seminary in Boston that I came to realize that what I was interested in was the study of religion and not the preparation for ministry as such, not as a vocation for my whole life. Although I've continued to be an active lay person, I've never become an ordained clergy person. But I came along in the seminary experience just before it changed in the 60s to what some people have called a dialogical model of more engagement with, what shall I say, social action to be sure, but also less emphasis on classical subjects like theology and history and exegesis and language study, and more emphasis on relational issues, including clinical pastoral counseling, which I had to study, and which has remained probably the most valuable contribution to my ongoing career as a university professor, is the listening skills that I learned and the analytical skills of motive, of disturbance that people experience, of searching and questing. And that has been extraordinarily helpful, having worked in a mental hospital for a fair period of one academic year as a seminarian, and being engaged as well as engaging a kind of Rogerian clinical training of where listening again is very important. And the Carl Rogers School that some of us knew about in those days. I don't know what the status of that is now because I don't look at it academically. But in the 50s and 60s, it was a very promising sort of discourse. And for one reason or other, my faculty advisors at seminary encouraged me to go the academic route. And they didn't discourage me from going into a church, but I've often wondered about that since. Exactly. One of my professors feared that I was going to slip into Buddhism at some point, and I think that he had terrible guilt because he introduced me to some Buddhist texts when we were studying mission, world mission, and I wasn't the least bit interested in world mission. I was interested in the Dharma, and he thought, oh boy, I've made a mistake with Denny. We're going to lose him. I said, well, how can you lose somebody if they go into Buddhism? You don't lose them. I began to, and then he said, it's statements like that worry me, you know, that sort of thing. But anyway, so I just went right into teaching with a seminary degree in the field of philosophy and comparative religion and Bible. I taught at a small college for a few years and became more convinced that I wanted to be in the comparative study of religion. And what I did at that point was a market analysis. In the middle 60s, I kind of wanted to go into medieval scholastic studies, but with an emphasis on the symbolic and ritual side of life and how the two relate to each other. I didn't know if they did, but I was interested in looking at that. But then I looked at Islam and the paucity of people studying Islam and teaching it in North America. And I said to myself, bingo. I'm interested in it. There may be jobs. There are some opportunities for graduate work. And I deliberately decided to do that. And I started studying Arabic even before going to graduate school further. And I started cultivating friendships with scholars of the Middle East and of Islam.